here at very short notice. Today it's a live stream and not, the audio events that we've been doing lately. But also, in the same vein, I want to introduce you to, to the topic for the next event, a LinkedIn event, next Sunday. And just after that, I've always been talking about, the 4Cs. And I wanted to, prepare, a little bit of some graphics. Hopefully, you should be able to learn one or two things from there. Let me just show you, what the next LinkedIn event is going to be, on Monday. Just bear with me. I've got some slides with me here. Hopefully, you're not going to be bored by a lot of slides. There isn't much, on it, so I'll be just cruising through, showing you firstly, the event topics. The event topic, maybe you want to prepare, if you're coming into the event, you want to prepare, some contribution you might be. And I also want to support you, with the relevant materials where you can find, some of this information, on the internet, if you want to read along or, reference some resources. Without further ado, let me just show you this graphic I've just prepared, and it's going to be, the event banner, and I'll be posting it shortly after this live presentation. And hopefully, you can go. I didn't want to invite, people. Normally, if you're used to LinkedIn events, so you have a weekly quota, a limit you have for inviting. So if you have so many events, you'll be limited to the number of events. And I know a lot of people, love the LinkedIn audio events. And so, that's where, I think, I want to spend some, some of our resources, in inviting people to, and this you can always, chip back and, see what exactly, you need to be preparing on. So, it can be a recorded one. Without further ado, let me just show you this. Hopefully, I'm working, on my computer here to bring up the slides, and this is the first time I've just done it, on here. Yes. So the title, we'll be touching on, is crystallizing your vision and the manifesto for success. So principally because, we are at the end of the year, and a lot of people, are looking forward, or, if you want to complete this particular year strong. And so I think, this particular event is going to provide some ammunition for you, so you can have a plan to complete this year, and also, to take you into the new year. And it will be mostly, based on mindset and, the techniques, you need, say, planning, a quarter or, the whole year. And so, we'll be discussing, that, in the event. And without further ado, let me just introduce you to the 4Cs. You can see at the bottom of that, this event banner, I always put the 4Cs movement. I want to put this as a movement, because I believe, we are getting, people, that are coming, that are eager, that are ambitious, and to do things, in their life, maybe to solve some issues, and the 4Cs, come in quite handy. Let me just introduce you to the 4Cs. They have these are the building blocks, for if you want to grow, personally, and also, as an organization. Maybe you've got a team, or you've got a company, or you've got a project which requires, people, And as you can see on that graphic there, I just try to dramatize, that, in the first, the red that you see there, there's fire. And the yellow is fire, and then you got something coming, after fire, you probably need, the oranges. So I'll be just introducing you to that shortly. These are the sort of growth, you might expect, if you stuck with us, in the movement. And without further ado, let me just, come. So the 4 C's, it starts with this very thin book, which has got these values written by Dan Sullivan. You can be able, to purchase this on Amazon, either as an audiobook or, as a thin book to read. I normally can maybe take you just an hour to read through. I think Dan Sullivan has done a very good, some good work, of trying to synthesize, what the job description of employers, of entrepreneurs are, or ambitious people are. And just, so I can come over, so this particular book, is it's where I derived, this acronym, the 4 C's movement, or the community. So, we abide, at least by the values, that you can read up, in this thin volume, of a read. If I may just, turn back and, into the next slide, I think, let me just see. Yes, there, this is the, Dan Sullivan, you can see, there they've got some bit of cartoons, Dan Sullivan started this project, of running, of committing to write a book every quarter. And initially, when you start something, you commit on something, it's not usually very easy, so he had, some growing pains, to do this, until he finally figured out that, you could do this with a team. So, they're doing, churning out a book every quarter. So I think it's something, we could be able to learn from. And let me just, it's sort of very clear there, these are the chapters, you find in that book. Let me just bring this up, on the screen a bit larger. Right, I wonder whether I could read that myself, but, I will try. There's the introduction, and then the formula is how every breakthrough happens. And then chapter 1 is commitment creates courage. And capability creates confidence. And confidence creates more commitment. And then, there's a chapter, you are the chief commitment officer. I believe, you might also have seen this, under my banner, on LinkedIn, where, I am positioning myself as one of the people, that struggled with, on the job market. And basically means I will just, explaining that, on the next slide. And when you're the chief commitment officer, it means, you have gone through this process, of going through commitment, capability, and then gaining your confidence as well. And in that fashion, you are the chief commitment officer. It means, you can also draw, some people, because, you have demonstrated, these values. And people are drawn to you, as a chief commitment officer. And as well, people are starting getting, their own sort of courage and their commitment. And this multiplies leadership. Whether, you're running a company or it's a team, you're having, and also innovation, comes through. And so those are the short chapters, in that, in this book, you'll be able to read, I think, in under an hour. So this what comes up on my banner, or ordinarily you see, this is how I position myself as helping you move confidently in the direction of your dreams. And in small letters, I'm progressing you from from being stressed, as a job seeker, which is what I am and have been. But I'm also taking it that, I've also had my own run, and I'm the chief commitment officer of my life. So people, that would not come within my purview, and we co-create things. Is maybe they are starting, on something, or they're in employment, or it's another issue that they're having, and they want to grow, just like, I'm also on a growth path. This is, how we do it. This is the story. So, to recap a little bit, on there, we just said, during the commitment stage, that's where, a lot of firepower, you're developing some muscles in committing to a vision. You want to, to have maybe, you want to be somebody who does live shows on LinkedIn for a reason, or on social media, and you're committing, to doing that. And, you got to go through some growth pains, and, you probably have seen other people, do it, and you are doing it for the first time, and, there's muscle burning, to committing, to doing that maybe weekly or daily, with your customers. You want to face your customers daily. You commit to that, and you are the person, that can be able to do that. That's the growth, you're looking at. Maybe 5 weeks from now, or 90 days, you're committing to that. So it's an identity, you're committing to, just as much as it is a goal, you are committing to, to doing daily or weekly. And because, we do commit without, knowing what the future is, this necessarily means, we only have the other fuel is courage, which, we have in plentiful supply. So you'll be banking on your commitment and the courage to take action, in manifesting, the things that you want in life. And this brings up, the first fruits, from this effort, which is, the capability and, incidentally, confidence. And it's just the same, with this graphic that you've just seen, previously. And this is now at an organizational level. It's a team. You're bringing, forward. You're helping, to grow. Maybe, it's a company, you're running. And you have been the first person, to go through the stages of commitment, courage, capability, and confidence. And people, are coming on board, and learning from you. And, that's how, great organizations and great teams, are built. When everybody, has got a clue as to what, commitment actually means, and courage. And, people, grow in their capability and confidence. And necessarily this might also, entail into the results, you get as an organization. Maybe, as the profit or as the sales, that come forward. Or, this might not actually be, even a company. It might be a non-profit, where people, are very confident and capable of doing, the things, that are, that are the objectives, of that. And, you've taken a leadership position, and people, and you are growing leaders. Let me just, okay, it's that's what I've just been talking to in another sense there, So there is the first rung, the commitment, the courage, and the fruits of capability and, confidence. And one of the people, that's, is impacted me, greatly, is Shannon Ivan, a neuropsychologist, when you're going through, things like, the things that I've talked to you about, courage and, commitment, you ordinarily come across, a lot of, baggage, from your past or, from things that you've been doing in the past because you don't know the future and, these things come in your subconscious mind. And Shannon has, helped me, through working on this to understand how our neuroscience, our brain works. And, you could be able to have her as a resource. She's got a podcast called, Epic Success, podcast, and she is big on, I think, on Facebook and on Instagram. You could be able to, to get in touch with her. On LinkedIn, she is there, but, she normally doesn't, use LinkedIn, for her programs. So she says she works with passionate, wildly passionate entrepreneurs and empowering them to become CEOs of their mind and create epic success in their business. So she's, like I said, some of the topics that, I've already introduced to you, like, fear, how to tackle fear, procrastination, self-doubt, that these are things that come ordinarily, when we're committing on certain things and on our goals. And, we can only be able to handle, those issues and solve those issues when we know clearly, how our brain functions. So Shannon, is a great resource on that. And other resource, you could be also use is the science of intentional transformation. The book, recently written, by none other than Benjamin Hardy, who is an organizational psychologist. Be your future self now. That's a really great resource with great stories. Like if you have heard, I think, a YouTuber called Mr. Beast, Benjamin Hardy talks about him greatly, and also, other people, that have come through, to learn about, being their future self. There's some great stories in there, and some of the chapters, if I could read, it's also a short read, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, and there's also an audio with an introduction to how psychology has turned, from the olden days, when we used to, to think about our past as determining our future. But now we need to look at it from, from the futuristic position, say, 2 or 3 years from now, who do you want to be? What identity do you want to be? So, this is what, Dan Sullivan, touches on here. There's 3 parts, he looks at, the threats to your future self. And threat number 1, without hope in your future, your present loses meaning. 2, a reactive narrative about your past stunts your future. Being unaware of your environment creates a random evolution. Being disconnected from your future self leads to myopic decisions. Urgent battles and small goals keep you stuck. Not being in the arena is failing by default. This is a really good one, If you're not acting and, doing, what you should be doing and, fearing and doing things like I've talked about, procrastination, self-doubt, and all those limiting beliefs to come across, and you're not in the arena, and facing the fire. This is what happens, those are the threats. And also success is often the catalyst, for failure. And the second part, it deals in that book, is the truths about your future self. Number one truth is your future drives your present. 2, your future self is different than you expect. Number 3, your future self is the Pied Piper. There's a story, a very, good story, you'll be able to read, about the Pied Piper, on that, truth number 3. And the more vivid and detailed your future self, the faster your progress. See, this is also what we've been touching, the last few, days, when we say, we want your brain should see and should believe in what you are doing, because your subconscious mind, automates even bad things. It also automates good things. So you want to automate good things, and visualizing this in your mind, your brain is very, very important. And number 6, failing is your future self is better than succeeding as your current self. Wonderful ideas there. Success is achieved by being true to your future self and nothing else. Number 7, your view of God impacts your future self. There's very interesting, 3 scenarios Texas, and then Dr. Dr. Benjamin takes us through, what he prefers to be his view of, of God. Very interesting, subject. There he is as the truth. And the last part, of that, is the steps for being your future self. Number 1, clarify your contextual purpose. He quotes, Steve Jobs in there, when he came on to April. When he was working with the other company, and he came to Apple, and he started, a new strategy, there. That was his contextual purpose, there. And number 2 is to eliminate lesser goals. We all have some of these lesser goals. Maybe it might be, going, and working at your job and religiously doing it when you've got the bigger things to do, And, number 3, you want to elevate from needing to wanting to knowing. That is a very, very, very important, subject he brings up here, that we've got to know, not only need or want something, And number 4, ask for exactly what you want. This is very, very important as well, to ask, for what you want. Maybe I'm going to ask you, for something that I want as well, let's come to the next event and, you find out what it is that I'm going to be asking you, And number 5, automate and systemize your future self. Number 7, schedule your future self. This is about planning as well. As calendarizing things, so that you can meet, you manifest things. And, some things that you haven't completed, number 7, you want to aggressively complete them. So, let me see now whether I have another slide for you. I think, we have started, on this slide. Let me just, bring myself, up, on the slides side by side, so you can see me. I haven't disappeared from view, and I'll work on this thing. I've been trying to. Right, I'm back, with you. So this is what I thought, I would share with you. If you ever wanted, something to work on, those are some of the books that I've found, or the resources that I find, quite intriguing and interesting, and they're very current. They're not sort of, old, like the Stoics philosophy, where we got some of our, our punches from, where people, come and, they do speeches, and, those speeches are not very, they can row crowds, but they won't be able, to penetrate, your mind and your brain and to think over things. But, with these sort of resources, according to me, I think, I like to think things through, and I found them very, very useful, resources. With that said, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday, the next event, which is crystallizing your vision and manifesting, or your manifesto, for success. Manifesto ordinarily means just, declaration. What are you declaring, is the things that you should be doing. If you don't declare, the things that, you want to do, your brain doesn't know what to do, with whatever, you want to do. So you have to declare them, maybe to other people, to a partner, or to children at home. We like to say, the best, sort of things that you can do is self accountability. You might have work with a partner who you're dealing with, but if you're not committing yourself and you're not self accountable, therein comes an issue. We meet within the first previews. I've just mentioned in the commitment stages and the courage. So with that said, I look forward to you learning a ton and to sharing the screen with you when we come on Sunday to the event. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to to seeing you soon. Cheers.